Hello and welcome back to the Greenhorn Photo Taker. I was lucky enough to recently be invited on a business trip to Bratislava, Slovakia, and I immediately fell in love with the city. I of course didn't get to explore like I would on a family or personal vacation, but I did get enough downtime before sunrise, after sunrise, to really get a feeling of what I loved about the city. So here are my top 5 things I love about Bratislava. Number 5 is the various forms of architecture you can see walking about Bratislava in your daily life. From the communist era mass housing that was really function over form, to Old Town, where there is a town hall erected in 1370 that is easily accessible and viewable. There's something called the Upside Down Building from the 80s, and there's even UFO tower that was constructed in the 1970s that is an iconic part of the city skyline. It's also lovely to see how they care for their history. Bratislava Castle was built, I think, in the 1500s, maybe 1400s, but it was burned down at one point in the 20th century, I believe, if my recollection is correct on Wiki, and reconstructed in the same manner to look like it was from the age of its original construction. So for me, wherever I was walking in Bratislava, there was always something of interest for me to see throughout the ages. Number 4, admittedly minor in the grand scheme of things, but I think it's the little things in life that make your day go by just a little bit better. In Bratislava, coffee is consumed in the office environment with ceramic cups. There's glasses, there's bowls, all of the normal office cutlery and glassware is not paper. In the US, it's paper product after paper product, and you can see the garbage can, by the end of the day, changed out several times due to the volume of coffee and tea consumption and water consumption in paper cups. In Bratislava, it was really nice to enjoy an espresso or a cappuccino in ceramic cups, especially in the meeting environment where you're all sitting around the table. It felt maybe a little bit more professional is the word. I'm not quite sure what it is. I definitely enjoyed that aspect of office life better than in the US. Even in my hotel room, everything was ceramic. When I inquired about why, single-use products definitely came up in the conversation, which is great, and also kind of a tie-in to how much more energy conscious at least the Slovakia office is compared to my US office. The lights are dimmed, and even in my hotel room, when you leave the room, you have to take your key card out of the slot, which automatically cuts the power to all the lamps and outlets in the room. So definitely more energy conscious in Bratislava than at least in New Jersey. Number 3 is the food and coffee, which I think could also be a negative, judging by the scale when I got back. But the food and coffee in Bratislava was really delicious. Everything from the local style cuisine, and let me read some of these because I know I'll get it wrong. Longosh, liver dumplings, halushki, which is a potato dumpling with a sheep cheese. I had the tourist version, I was told, that isn't as funky and smelly as what it would normally be consumed, but what I had was absolutely delicious. Goulash, loksha, a potato pancake, all those local cuisines, while they were heavy, they were really delicious, and I really appreciated them. But they also had good smash burgers and good fish and chips. So it was very easy for me to consume my meals there. There was always something tasty and always something familiar if I wanted something familiar as well. The fish and chips definitely was a little different, not as crispy of a batter on the outside, and the skin was still on underneath the batter, which is very uncommon, at least in New Jersey. Coffee, I miss the coffee. It was much more rich. Obviously, it's more espresso, Americano, cappuccino type based than I'm accustomed to in the US, which is normally a 16-ounce coffee that is relatively weak compared to Bratislava. So I did also miss having that cup of coffee where I can hold it for an hour or two in my hand and slowly sip. But purely from a taste standpoint, the coffee in Slovakia was much better than the coffee in New Jersey. Number 2 was Old Town. This is a section of Bratislava that probably locals would say caters to the tourist, but it really is the historical center of Bratislava. For someone who's never been to Europe, this was absolutely amazing. There are countless shops and restaurants, but what makes it awesome for me is the cobblestone streets, the narrow alleyways at times. Like I said, the very old town hall that was erected in 1370. There is something called Michael's Gate, that was part of the original fortification around the city. That was near and dear to me. Often, probably 3 or 4 mornings, I woke before sunrise and toured this section of Old Town, just to experience it without people. It was really great to see these sections of churches and buildings that, again, I had no experience with before. So I will fondly look back on those times. I also took a trip to Slavín, which is a Soviet monument to the fallen soldiers at the end of World War II that fought the Germans in the vicinity. So it's a monument to them, also a cemetery to them. Thousands of people, thousands of soldiers were buried there fighting the Wehrmacht. It was also touching to see them mention the fallen citizens there as well. So that was very interesting to me. I really enjoyed World War II, and I remember staring at all those names from the same time period in 1945. And as my first experience of seeing some type of monument related to World War II, that was very, very great. I enjoyed that thoroughly. Sunrise was pretty good too. While I don't particularly love this picture as a photo, it worked out the way I wanted to. I wanted to see the sunlight hit the top of the monument, work its way down as the sun got higher and higher in the sky. So at least my preconceived notion of what I wanted in the photo worked. The sky just wasn't as brilliant as I had hoped, but still a really special morning. In all, probably about a 2.5 mile round trip walk to pre-dawn in a very, very safe city. I felt very comfortable walking around pre-dawn, unlike other cities where I would have felt a little cautious and hesitant to just have my camera around my neck and in my hand. Here, no problems whatsoever. I felt very comfortable walking around. Many cities throughout the globe, and throughout the US even, have their own versions of number 5 through number 2 that I can appreciate and that I have enjoyed in the past. But what is different for me in Bratislava is my number 1 aspect of the city that I love the most, and that's the people. I want to be very conscientious of not mixing business with personal life on this channel. So I will speak in general terms and not specifics, but the generosity and kindness that I encountered on an everyday basis was so very special to me. From team dinners on a Friday night to walking around at sunset just because people knew I enjoyed photography, to getting up before work and heading to a communist-era missile storage location for the military, to fight NATO. Amazing to see that. Before work, no less. Even little things like taking me to a market because the greenhorn photo taker is also a greenhorn business person. I forgot my deodorant that day. I desperately needed some help. Those types of interactions were constant and memorable, and memories I will treasure forever. Let me stop there. I don't want to get too emotional. And I'll just say, if you ever have a chance to visit Bratislava, absolutely do so. Thank you very much for watching. Get out and explore Bratislava if you ever get the chance. You won't regret it.